In 22, something happened to me during a time when the world was shutting down because of COVID and everyone was locked in their homes. Being someone who loved backpacking and camping, I used pandemic as an excuse to travel to the northern forest and camp in different spots. One of those places was in the forest of Colors beside a river. I don't want to introduce myself, but I'll say this: something happened to my work in 2019 that damaged my reputation and caused many people to hate me. Because of this, I had to move my home, change my phone number, and even quit my job. The mistake I made led to many people losing a lot of money, so it was predictable what was going to happen. I just didn't know when it would happen. For a while I was getting harassing messages from different numbers, and some of them were even threatening. I didn't know if it was all from one person, but I suspected maybe one person was messaging me from several numbers. They kept messaging me for a while, but gradually the messages become less frequent. I thought people had stopped caring about me and were busy with other things. Since I wasn't working and had too much free time, I decided to go on a trip to change my mood. I drove for 3 hours to reach the College Road, parked my car, and started walking toward the river. Because of quarantine, there was no one else around. People were taking the situation seriously and staying at home. It was still winter and a thin layer of snow covered the ground, which made a crunching sound when I stepped on it. After walking for a while, I reached the stream, and luckily it wasn't frozen and was still flowing. The peaceful feeling it gave me was exactly what I needed to detox from the stress of my life. I found a spot, a bit of paths to set up my camp. Once I set up tent, chopped some wood, lit a fire, and cooked sausages on a stove. I began reading my book. I placed the book next to the fire, and after finishing a few chapters, it was getting dark. Thank God for headlamps. I felt my phone ring. But honestly, aside from my family, not many people messaged me. So I pulled my phone out of my jacket pocket and saw a few messages from unknown number. My heart raced as I realized something was happening again. The number said Tehran, but whoever it was, they messaged me asking, "How it is going, buddy? How's the camping?" The second message said, "It's really beautiful here." The third one said, "I know why you are here." My default reaction was to ask, "Who is this?" If they had just asked how the camping was, I would have thought it was one of my family members. But these messages were written in a way that made it seem like they were right there with me. I started feeling paranoid. So with anxiety rising, I began looking around. I got up and started moving around, keeping an eye on my surroundings and watching the forest grow darker with each passing moment. I went to grab my gun from my bag just to feel a little safer. Usually, I put out the fire before going to sleep, but I was so anxious. The thought of staying in total darkness terrified me. I crawled into the tent and curled up in my sleeping bag, staring at my phone, waiting for more messages. None came. Minute dragged slowly, and I realized I had come out here to change my mood, but it was only getting worse. My headlamp was still on, so I tried to continue reading my book, but between dizziness and my mind being stuck on the messages, I was lying to myself thinking I could read. I decided to watch some YouTube videos to pass the time. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to watch documentary about murder on YouTube. Interesting choice given the situation. Just when I least expected, another message came through, a reply to my earlier question. It doesn't matter anymore. My heart was pounding again. I replied, "How do you know I am camping?" But once again, No reply. After this, anxiety was unbearable and it felt like a weight on my chest. Was this a joke from a friend or family member? Or was it one of the people who had been harassing me? But if it was the latter, how did they know I was camping? Eventually, I spent about an hour on YouTube and noticed that fire outside was dying down. The fire was almost out. Because it was winter, there were no insects and the forest was completely silent except the wind. On a windy night, the moment video stopped, silence was incredibly unsettling. Usually I enjoyed this silence, but this time it was completely disrupted by messages. Suddenly the silence broken by footsteps. Someone walking on snow, getting closer to my tent. Steps stopped a few meters away from my tent. Terrified, I gripped my gun tightly, ready to shoot. Then a light flashed from outside, as if someone briefly shone a flashlight or took a picture from the tent. Immediately got a reply as I could hear their footsteps moving away. The area became silent again. What I feared happened next. My phone rang. Same number sent a picture of my tent. Another message followed. Good night. I can't explain it, but suddenly I felt completely out of it. Remaining adrenaline rushed through my body. I unzipped my tent and fired 2 shots into the air. I could hear footsteps running through the snow. It was clear that my action had scared the person off, but this only made me more worried because it meant they were still hiding somewhere watching me. I shouted and went back into my tent. I think it worked because no message came and there was no more sound. This whole ordeal put an end to my sleep. I felt like I drank 3 cups of coffee. Eventually, I fell asleep and waking up to the morning light felt so relieving. Whoever had been stalking me didn't expect me to shoot. I don't seem like a kind of person who would own a gun. It was the first time I had used it since I bought it. Whoever had been messaging me and harassing me seemed to have decided to back off when they realized I was armed. It's been almost 5 hours now and I haven't been bothered again. That night was a nightmare and I can't imagine how things would turn out if I hadn't had a weapon.
I know that the paranormal is real. Listen.